once again, I welcome all the participants here in the week 6, session 5. So, today we are going to discuss about the skills and technique and some of the do's and don'ts for the community worker or the social worker has to follow. See, before coming into the do's and don'ts and then skills and then the techniques which you have to learn in or inculcate into yourself, we have to understand that there are three different types of the goals while you are working with the community. One is the task goal, another is the process goal, and third one is about the relationship goals. Right. So these goals are keeping in mind you have to actually develop your skills. You have to apply. I mean, you have already developed your skill before going into the community, but what kind of the skills you have to use in what situation? So task goals are what goals? Those goals concerned with the identification of objectives and the development of the means and the resources to carry out or implement the kind of the objectives or the task. The process goals is all about the process you involve into the community. It means organizing and all, coordinating, organizing, developing groups, intergroup interaction, giving some kind of a direction, program planning. So this all comes under the process goals. Third kind of the goals is about the relationship goals. So relationship goal is also one aspect of the process aspect, right? So here is focus on changing certain types of social relationship and decision making, right? Next is now coming to the steps which has been involved into the community organization. So actually the community organization is the process where people within a community come together to address common issues and improve their social, economic, political, sometimes environmental conditions and enhance their overall well-being, right? So the process of participation, inclusiveness, collectiveness, all these emphasizes the empowerment of the community members and to take control over their own development and to control over their power structure, or sometimes if it is required, so restructuring of the power structure of the community. So it is actually grounded in principles of social justice, equity, democracy, and aiming to give rise to the marginalized and underprivileged communities a say, right? So the very first step, if you're looking into the community organization, somehow similar to the community work, is about the need assessment. The very first thing is about the need assessment with community. So the first step is to identify the needs and then concern of the community. This involves this can be done by gathering the data, conducting surveys, conducting FGDs, and a lot of the research methodology you can do. You can also go with the PRA technique, that is the participatory rural appraisal or participatory learning and action techniques. Conduct through assessment of community needs, resources, and then identifying the needs, and you have to identify the resources. That resources could be the internal resources, external resources. That resources could be an asset of the community. That resource could be social capital or the human capital or physical capital or cultural capital. It could be any kind of the resources. So the very first thing is about the assessment of the need, assessment of the resources, assessment of the requirement, right? Accordingly, then you have to actually formulate the problem and then plan later on. Next is about the planning and goal setting. On the basis of the assessment, you can actually in a position to plan and develop any or set a goal for the community member through the community members. So once the need has been identified, the community organization process involved developing a plan to address those needs, right? And then these involve setting clear goals. Goals should be very clear. For that, we go with that. The goals should be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time bound. That is called SMART goals. So specific means there should not be any kind of the ambiguity around the goal. Measurable means there are some kind of the parameters you have to develop so that at the time of the evaluation you can evaluate, you can measure how much you actually come across, how much you are actually successful into that. So the goal should be measurable in that way. Attainable means that something which is not beyond the capacity of the community or beyond the capacity of the agency involved into for this right many time, right? And then even the capacity of yours. So it should be relevant enough and attainable enough. Means it has to be a more pragmatic so that it could be more attainable. Relevant means it is according to the needs and resources and requirement of the community, not something beyond that, or something which is not the community not identified with. And time bound, definitely anything which is linger is not give the actual fruit. So time bound, time management is so important. So this is what the goal, smart goal, and that the community, the organization is always suggested to go with the smart goal. So these ensures that the community's efforts are focused and directed towards tangible outcomes. If all these things has been done, so it is more easily and tangible for the community members to get it. Moving ahead, the third step is about the action and implementation. After you have a blueprint in your hands, what you are supposed to do, who will be involved into, what kind of the resources are involved into, what are the goals actually you have set for, who are the members will involve into directly or who are indirectly, what kind of the channel of interaction you will follow with, what are the agencies you involved into, or you know at the time of some kind of the references or further support system you are in need of. So everything you have with, and then action and implementation stage has come. This phase actually in talking about the implement the plan and concrete steps to address the identified needs. Here it's mainly about the organizing strategies and then executing the strategies and then outline the planning stage. So here whatever the strategies you have developed, it's a time to actually execute those strategies. Okay, strategy for the community, strategy for the goal. So depending upon which is on the priority basis, you have to move with that. And effective implementation require coordination and communication among all stakeholders. So for sure this is somehow so important, because fundamental of community organization is coordination, participation, right? So coordination could be possible through the open communication, right? Communication. So coordination and communication goes hand to hand. And with the what kind of the stakeholders you are involved into, you have to do the networking with them. So this is what the action and implementation stage you are doing. So committee organizer often form committee or task force. So many time for to enter into the community, to work with the community, you cannot start with the whole community. You have to work with some kind of the groups or the community. Maybe you form, or maybe that is already existed in the community. So you have to work with those committee, either you formed or already existed committee. So or maybe more than one or two, three groups or committees. You just have to mobilize them, coordinate them, organize them. So this is what at the time of action and implementation so important to keep in mind. Then evaluation and sustainability. After implementation, what next? Definitely now it's a time to evaluate how much the program was successful, how much the community was successful in organizing and coordinating, how much you were successful in actually mobilizing the resources, you were successful in developing the coordination among the community members, you were successful in organizing the community towards certain goals or towards certain issues. So that is what the evaluation, and this could be done through many evaluative process. If the program is bigger, so agency can also hire the third party for the evaluation. Or if it is not so big program and project, so agency itself can do the evaluation. Even agency asks for some other third party evaluation, even though the implementing agency should always look into the evaluative aspect of the program, always do the monitoring, and then weekly and then monthly evaluation has to be done to gauge the success and then failure of the program. So if it is any kind of the failure, so means that's wastage of money, wastage of resources. So meanwhile, once the organization and you and agency has identified that there are some lack into that, even the committee members identified that there is some lacking, you can work on those and fill those gaps to overcome and to get the more successful program. And even the evaluation, end term evaluation is also important. So to get the overall understanding of the success of the program, as well as for the future references, once you have to do the same thing in the coming future for the same community or maybe in the some other community, so that evaluative report is always considered to be an important piece of reference for you to work in future. And now there are some things we have to, as a community organizer, we have to follow, consider to be the do's and don'ts, right? So these do's and don'ts, like community organizer build organizations that maximize the power and participation of the people. Community organizer listen to the people. I mean, communication should be two-way, and you have a good listener. Committee organizers are responsible for sharing information and raising questions, options, alternatives, and problems that affect the community. You have to make your communication so clear enough, giving the space to the community members so they can raise the questions, they can ask the question, they can satisfy their queries. So once they satisfy their queries, there will more chances of participation is coming out from the community members. Then community organizers identify and develop diverse group of members who agree to serve as the organization's public voice in a variety of issues. So if you are actually successful in identifying the different set of the group coming together in identification of the common problem, or under the understanding the issues, and relate the issues and the problem by everyone, you will be a successful organizer, right? Then committee organizers are attuned to the power relationship and the political agenda surrounding an issue. Don't indulge. It's always been suggestion for a community organizer, but not at the time of the for the larger or longer project. But if you are there for some specific program and project, don't indulge so much into the power politics. Don't so much indulge into the power structure or restructuring of the power. Rather, you have to go with the power structure present in the community, but with more professional ways to handle those power structure, and giving the try to make a situation is such a conducive for those who are powerless, and make their voices heard, and then take their participation along with the people who is holding the power. Then community organizers develop sound organizing a strategy based on his power analysis. So after the power analysis, after analyzing the power structure, community organizer develop that kind of the strategy which is based on the power analysis, so that everyone will be happy, even the who is holding the power and who is not holding the power. So community organizers role is to build public relationship. So building relationship is the very important phenomena of community organization. Then community organizer is to work with people to define problems and issues and help them to working with the community, working with the members of the community to identify their problem, right? And think through the strategies and tactics necessary to act with confidence and win, and develop the kind of the strategies where the members or community members feel that strategy has been developed by them, and they can relate with those strategies and with those problems. Community organizers recruit members, assist with fundraising, and integrate fundraising into every aspect of their organizing work. If it is possible, committee members recruit members, assist in fundraising. So sometimes the fund you are having with is not sufficient. Sometimes sometimes the funds which you are having is not sufficient, or the resources which is available in the community is not sufficient. In such situation, you have to go with for the fundraising, but not always. Sometimes you need some kind of the fundraising. Community organizers ensure that their members receive a consistently high standard of appropriate and effective training. If it is required, you have to go with and ensure a good training program for the community members. Community organizer enables the members to hold meetings that are productive and focused, because sometimes just to communicate one to one is not solve the issues. So it's always to organize some kind of the meeting is important, because in a meeting you can address the larger masses or larger number of the members at a one point, and there's a lack of the chances of ambiguity would be reduced, because at a one time everyone is participating in one kind of the decision, and there could be a collective decision making could be possible in a meeting. Community organizers facilitate training strategy sessions when needed. If it is required, even you can also go with the kind of training and a strategy session. Committee organizer also build evaluation into all aspects of the work. So the kind of indicator has to be decided earlier on what indicators are evaluation. The work has to be evaluated, and this evaluation is so important at every stage. Committee organizer also strive to accountable and holds others accountable in every aspect of their job. Whoever the team or council or the group you have formed, you have given some kind of the task and some kind of the accountability to them, because giving accountability is so important, so that giving accountability actually give them motivation and give them some kind of the target, so they will be attached to that program, and then it is more easily that the work could be accomplished. If no one is accountable, the work, in accomplishment of the task is so difficult. So given some kind of the accountability to the different individuals or to the different groups or the committees you formed, then committee organizers always make time for follow up. Follow up is so important because things has been done, but maybe if you have to plan some kind of the big program and everyone is accountable and say, okay, we will done this and we have done this, for take the follow up through the phone as well. But it's also important to go, and then physical follow up is important to look into that how much everyone is accountable in their tasks and then work. Committee organizers strive to affect and aid improvement their skills on an ongoing basis and develop an annual self-development plan. So annual plan is so important if the program is of long run, or even midway assessment is also important. Committee organizers challenge people to act on behalf of their common interest. So you have to give some kind of the challenges to the committee members, so they have to act on behalf of their common interest. Means you have this, you have to say like that you have all the this is your right, you have all the capacity, come forward, you have all the members around you, you have a strength, you are not alone, there are a lot of people coming to you. So gives this kind of the challenges so that they come forward and then they do participate and understand their own capacity and capability. Committee organizers work through campaigns. I mean, sometimes if it is required, the campaigns is required. For example, for when some environmental issues, some kind of the campaigns is required, for which you have to support the committee members in their campaign. There's also some kinds of the rules that committee worker has to follow. The committee organizer should have an understanding of development theories and concept and process of community organizing. So understanding of this community process and community organization is so important. Understanding of the power structure, and then theories around this all you have to understand. It could be any theory like the system theory, ecological theories, and many other more theories, many grounded theories you can also work on, because community is so dynamic in nature. Good social and community relation skills to promote social integration in the community. A good you also have to look into the developing some kind of the relationship to promote social integration into the community. So working with the on the relationship part is again important. Then an ability to work with other teams of professionals. See, community organization again is a very sometimes we consider to be very holistic kind of the work, where you need some other professionals to involve into. Maybe if you're working for some livelihood program, or you're working with the rural community, so agriculture is very integral part. You cannot be an agriculturalist at the same time and then community worker or social worker on the other hand, right? So you can also take help of the some agricultural expert, or maybe you can also take help of the some health workers or the health specialist if any time that kind of the requirement has been there. Maybe you're working with a microfinance or SHGs in a community, right? But at some point at the time, there's some kind of disease outburst has been there, right? And your functioning or SHG functioning would not be as smoothly as you were expected. So definitely microfinance is or SHGs is your prime objective. You're working, you are there for that. But as you see that the barrier is here is right now is the health issue, so you could also have to contact it and concern the health concerns or health officials, maybe through the panchayat or maybe through some other agencies you can hire, you can, you can, work on those that time on the health aspect. So you many a time, as a community work is a holistic approach. One problem is associated with another problem, one solution is required the solution in another area, or give birth to the solution to another area as well. So you also have to think on, okay, many times you also need some kind of a consultancy from others. So be ready for that also, and be always acceptable. The knowledge and skills to enable communities to access specialized technical assistance in instances when this is needed, sensitivity to the local culture. So that's what the point what right now I'm discussed. And then that also has to be locally, I mean, concerned with the local sentiments and all, locally cultured, oriented programs has to be there, or whatever the new things you involve into. Gender sensitivity, and also I would act as a caste sensitivity is also taken into account. This is a very part and parcel of our rural community. So apart from that, gender sensitivity is also taken into account, means you have to take, tackle this particular area. Maybe you're working with the women only, the SHGs women, women SHG women's. So but you should not ignore the fact the power structure around the male dominance in the community. So you should not ignore their you know kind of, you should not 100% ignore them. Make them also the part of that, because both, if the male and female come together, participate together, understanding each other, then the things would be resolved. If there is again a conflict between male and female, and giving more priorities and much priority to the women, and females feels that we are not giving their due, so again conflict arises. So definitely, as a female has been since time immemorial, they have been deprived. So equity is required, special preferences has to be given, but it should not be so obvious that the male should identify that and should not ignore the male's requirements and needs. And same way, if you're working with the males on an agricultural aspect, you should also have to take into the account the females worker or females laborer working on the grounds, who are not giving as equal pay as the males has been given. So you have to be very gender sensitive in many a time. What are the skills which has been required for a good community organizer? So you should be good and skillful enough in rapport building, because establishing trust and positive connections are so important, that community member with the community members, that actually give the base for the success of the coming programs. Next is skill in identification of the needs. That is actually a critical skill that has been required by you. So accurately recognizing and prioritizing the needs are or the community issues, so important skill that has been required from your side. Skills in resource mobilization. Secure resources, or resources available or needed to address the community needs has to be identified. Many times needs resources are there, but it has not been identified. So identification of needs again need a kind of very technical skill from your side. And then skills in program planning, that develop structured and goal oriented program for the community development. And if you are good enough in developing the whole program, so it will be more easy to get a more successful project implementation. So a program planning and then program management, it's about the whole management skill, that how you have to coordinate, organize, manage, facilitate, mobilize, advocate, everything is comes under the program management aspect. Even they evaluate, right? And making everyone confident, everyone happy, making everyone involved into that, this all required a good skill as in program management. Then skill in evaluation, that I've already told. Skill in recording. See, this recording is so important, because documentation and document activities regarding the outcomes and then all the process is so important. Even it also gives you an idea of your own success, and also give you this idea that how much you have to involve further. And for this recording is also a reference for you for the future projects and program. Even if good writing, a good record writing, a good record of yours could also helpful to others as well into the agency. Skill in encouraging community participation. Community participation is so important. So you have that skill. You know, I remember one of my in my job, one of my very senior told me that social worker should be like a damru. You understand damru, that Madari damru? Whenever it is actually, whenever you go in a community, you have to be like a damru, that everyone understand that something is going to happen in the community. You have that skill, means you have that charisma in you that everyone attracts towards you, bring everyone's together. So that is what the skill of encouraging community participation. Then skills in working with the groups. You have to understand all the dynamics of the group. You have to understand that how the group has been evolved from storming, norming, forming, performing. So how the group has been evolved, and then what are the dynamics within that group, how the different structure of the groups varies and impacted to the overall success of the group. What are the hidden leadership has been there within that group. So you have to be good, skillful in understanding the group, and you have a good group worker along with a good community organizer. So skills and working with individuals. So again, you have to be good case worker. You have to understand. You have a good human, good social worker, that you can be fitted with in any situation, fitted in at micro to meso to macro level, fitted with every individual, fitted with every kind of the group, and fitted with every kind of the projects and program. That is what the overall holistic skill has been required from you. Then skills in mobilizing community action. Social action is also very important approach, and you could say the method of social work, where you have to mobilize the community towards certain issues and concern, and you have to develop that kind of the capacity among the community so they can raise their voices for to asking for their own rights. So for that, you have to be skillful. Some more skills which is considered to be important. See, skills are is so important because it's not only the knowledge, but also the ability to put knowledge to practical, right? So it cannot you have a lot of the knowledge, but you have not ability to put into action. It's of no use. So when you have a knowledge, you must have that skill to put into action, right? So communication is skills. Here, communication is doesn't mean the English speaking skill or communication in us in that way. Rather, always the communication is considered to be good to reaching to others. How you reach to others, that is what the communication. Okay. Then group facilitation skills should be good. You have a good ability to facilitate the group. Planning and organizing skills that I've already told. Interpersonal skills, that your communication with others should be good enough so that you could develop a good networking. Analytical skill, organizational and developmental skills, training skills. So skill when highly developed brings about automatic or nearly automatic response to the situation. If you are actually highly developed into your skills, right, things come by their own automatically because you are skillful without putting a lot into your pressure. Once you apply the skill every time, things became so part and parcel of your personality, and you do without any kind of putting pressure into you, and things will be done by automatically. So this is the last things about this session. Enumerate the values that community organizers should possess, namely by honesty, loyalty, fairness, courage, caring, respect, tolerance, duty, and lifelong learning. Philip and Pittman also talked about the ethical standards which should guide the community organizers, like establishing and maintaining a professional and objective relationship with the community, client, and its representatives, always performing in a legal and ethical manner, immediate disengaging from illegal and unethical activity, clearly and accurately detailing the scope of work to perform its anticipated outcomes, avoiding conflicts of interest and dual relationship, and disengaging from activities that may result in one group of individual unethically or illegally benefiting at the expense of another. So if you feel that if once any of your act is actually benefited one party but not to other, you just stop that and to rethink into that. Thank you so much. This is all about the today's session of the sixth week about the skills. The kind of the techniques you have to follow, the kinds of the do's and don'ts you have to follow, the kind of ethical things, and the kind of the value system what the Philip and Pittman has talked about. Thank you so much.